I'm the Jody Saver, and in this video I'm going to be giving my December 2023 emergency fund update. So just as a bit of a recap, in case you're new to my channel, I post these videos every month on my emergency fund. For me, it helps as a bit of a reminder to always have my emergency fund fully stocked. For me, emergency fund of at least £1,000 is good. So £1,000 represents our essential monthly expenses for our flat. So that's mortgage, council tax, electricity, gas, and so on. So at least if I've got £1,000 as an emergency fund, I could keep the flat afloat for a month without dipping into my longer term investments. What I find really challenging, and you'll see it in this video as well, is that I always dip into my emergency fund, and it's just a habit that I find really hard to break out of. And I'll go through the figures, and then I'll talk about how I'm going to try and tackle that issue that I have. So bear in mind it was December, so we started with £3,000 in my emergency fund. I then contributed £1,000 and £1,027. Now you might think, oh wow, that's fantastic. You've contributed £1,000 to your emergency fund. But actually, I actually withdrew £2,900. Now, not all of this is bad. So some of it was because I moved money from being in an emergency fund to being in premium bonds. The reason for that was I know that I've got this behavior that I have where I'll dip into anything that's easily accessible. So having it in something that's still easily accessible but less easily accessible than a cash bank account, I moved I think it was maybe just under £1,000 into premium bonds. The stuff that I actually took out, so you can see there the difference. I contributed 1,000 but took out 1,900. Say around 900 went into premium bonds. The other 1,000 really was used for paying for a holiday that's coming up, that was booked on a deal in December, so I needed £500 for that. And then the other £500 was used to help with Christmas expenses, so paying for presents, just things that I needed to. I mean, technically I shouldn't have dipped into my emergency fund for it, but this is where we are. I did do that. And the interest that accrued on the account was £8. It's less than accrued in November, and the reason for that was because obviously my balance was lower because I took out a lot of this money at the start of the month. So that meant that my final balance was £1,135, which is good. And it's above the £1,000, but obviously it's dipped. I felt a lot more comfortable having £3,000 in easily accessible cash than I do having £1,000. So what am I going to do or try and do going forward? Well, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep my emergency fund, and I'm going to try and keep it at £1,000 or above. And my rule is I'm only going to break into it and use it if it is an emergency. So if there's a big bill that's come up, just something that I would classify as an emergency. And then what I'm going to try and build up alongside it, which I probably won't record because it'll just fluctuate month on month, is just a buffer account. So I'll have my main bank account, and then I'll just have a pot as well of buffer money, because a lot of this, what I do here, where I take money out, what I'd probably describe that as is it's like using it as a cash buffer for my main bank account. So if an unexpected luxury kind of fund thing comes up, so say I don't know, there's a theatre show I really want to see, but I haven't really budgeted for it, but I want to see it because I can only see it this month and not in the future, then I would typically dip into my emergency fund for that. Whereas actually what I should be doing is dipping into a buffer fund, if that makes sense. Hopefully it'll become clear as I try it out, and I can report back on the next video. But yeah, so at the moment I've got £1,000. By the end of December I had £1,000 in this emergency fund, and then I also have premium bonds, which is also I treat as an emergency fund, but that's mainly for, say I lost my job and I wanted to withdraw that money. So at the moment in my premium bonds, I've got £1,000, which I updated on the last video. So yeah, so that's the emergency fund for December. I'll be updating you in a couple of weeks with the January figures. I will say that it probably went down again in January. Again, it's maybe like an off spill from December. December was quite tight money wise because of Christmas, and then I was also off for the first part of January off work and we're doing fun things, and I was also dipping into this fund. So I think the main takeaway from this video is that I need to get out of the habit of dipping into the emergency fund and trying to experiment with ways I can budget, which allows me the freedom to do unbudgeted fun things, but not um, hamper my emergency fund in the process. So I'll leave it there and I'll see you on the next video.